About 2 centuries ago, a man was born whose courage, vision, and compassion would profoundly influence the course of African history and the Catholic Church's missionary mission on the continent. His name, Cardinal Lavigerie, a missionary, an abolitionist, and a defender of human dignity. In 2025, as we mark the 200th anniversary of his birth, we look back with gratitude on his legacy. Born on 31st October 1825 in Bayonne, France, Lavigerie combined deep intellectual with a heart profoundly moved by the suffering of the oppressed. Appointed Archbishop Algiers on 12th of January 1867, he viewed this not merely as a post for the French colony, but as a gateway into the heart of Africa for evangelization and human upliftment.
Bishop Charles Lavigerie was appointed Archbishop of Algiers on 27th of March 1867. What was the context of his appointment? France conquered Algeria in 1830. Since then, French people settled in Algeria. Most of them were Catholics. The first priests were army chaplains. Then, the church created the Diocese of Algeria on the 10th of August 1838 for the pastoral care of the many Catholic colonists. Bishop Pavie, the predecessor of Bishop Lavigerie, is the one who developed the church in Algeria for 20 years. Then Bishop Pavie died on the 16th of November 1866. The governor of Algeria wrote to Bishop Lavigerie and offered him to become the Archbishop of Algiers, because at that time it is the government of France who was electing and choosing the bishops. So he chose Bishop Lavigerie because he said he was very zealous for religion, and also he was not afraid of difficulties. Lavigerie replied to him that he accepted to become Bishop of Algiers because the life of devotion and sacrifice is the life of a bishop. And then he also said that this is exactly what he has been looking for since his youth, the apostolate, and he was responding to the call of God. But the emperor had to approve, and the emperor didn't want, really, because he knew Lavigerie's character, and he found Lavigerie was too zealous for a Muslim country. So he proposed to Lavigerie to become a coadjutor bishop of Lyon. Lavigerie would have become, at that time, cardinal and primate of the Gauls. But Lavigerie refused, and he told the Emperor Napoleon that he was appointed to Algiers, he wanted to go to Algiers, and he must go to Algiers. So the Emperor accepted, the Vatican approved the appointment, and Lavigerie was confirmed Archbishop of Algiers.
He was told you will be in French territory, but at the same time you will be like in exile. For him, he came not only for the French people, but also for the indigenous people, the Arabs and the Kabyle.
As soon as Cardinal Lavigerie was installed in Algiers, this was like his open door for evangelization of Africa. With missionary zeal and foresight, he founded the Society of the Missionaries of Africa in 1868 and the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa in 1869.
His episcopal motto was Caritas, charity. His passion for Africa was not a passing sentiment. It was the fabric of his life. He founded the Missionaries of Africa and the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa so that that love of God might be shared in every corner of the continent.
The aim of Lavigerie starting this society was first of all to make Christ known where he was not known at that time. Of him seeing the need to get missionaries who will, in a way, do that job of making Christ known to the Arabs and also to the people of sub-Saharan Africa.
When Bishop Lavigerie arrived in Algiers, he knew already about the whole history of evangelization in Algeria. And he knew that he had already some priests who were taking care of population in Algeria, who was basically a French population. And he had, as we know, more than 200,000 Catholics in his diocese. But then he discovered that there was an effort in Algeria to evangelize the local population.
He found some French congregations of women committed to the education of young Arab girls. But for him, that was not enough. He dreamed of offering also the good news of Jesus. And he dreamed also of a wide mission that would reach the whole of Africa.
It was also very much his passion for justice and peace. He was a man full of love and full of compassion, especially to suffering humanity. And that suffering humanity of that time, he saw it very much in the African people.
At that time, a pandemic had claimed many deaths, leaving a great number of orphans. Lavigerie thought of religions to take care of them. 1 year after the foundation of the Society of the Missionaries of Africa, he found important to have also missionary sisters, convinced that the work of his missionaries will bear more fruit if it is supported by women apostles.
Lavigerie, in the mind and in the spirit, was very much a missionary. If you read, for example, his history, you will see how much he liked the people like Martin of Tours. The way Martin of Tours struggled to evangelize his own country at the beginning in the 4th century. He saw it as a model.
There are several qualities and initiative that reflects his deep commitment, his faith, and the love of the teaching of Christ. The charism he received as a gift was a result of his personal relationship with God.
In founding the Missionaries of Africa and the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa, Cardinal Lavigerie trained his missionaries to enter fully into the life of African peoples, learning local languages, respecting traditions, and bearing witness to Christ through loving service. For Lavigerie, proclaiming the gospel meant not only preaching, but transforming lives through education, healthcare, respect for local cultures, and interreligious dialogue, especially with Muslims.
If the Missionaries of Africa are notable nowadays for their openness to other cultures and to other religions in terms of interreligious dialogue, we owe this to our founder, Cardinal Lavigerie. Cardinal Lavigerie had started off as a priest in France, and at the same time he was appointed director of the works of Christian schools in the Levant, the Middle East. One of these occasions, while visiting Proshoria, that he met an Algerian refugee who had sought refuge in Syria. He was called Emir Abdel Kader, and it was during the massacre of the Maronite Christians by the Druze in 1860. And this encounter had a strong impression on Lavigerie, how he appreciated this man in terms of human values and religious values. Then eventually, 5 years later, when he was appointed as Archbishop of Algiers, he had already some elements of openness to Islam.
Monsignor Lavigerie addressed these words to the Algerian Muslims. I claim to be entitled to the privilege of loving you as my children, even if you do not recognize me as your father.
Lavigerie promoted dialogue, especially with Islam in North Africa. The bicentenary encourages the church, particularly in Africa, where religious tensions sometimes arise, to deepen its commitment to dialogue, peace, and reconciliation.
For him, mission meant respect, dialogue, and friendship.
Among Lavigerie's most courageous acts was his relentless campaign against slavery in Africa. Deeply rooted in his Christian belief in the dignity of every human life, Cardinal Lavigerie called on European powers to end the exploitation of African people. At the request of Pope Leo XIII, he took his message to the capitals of European, urging political leaders, churchmen, and citizens alike to take a stand for justice.
Lavigerie also was the man who started fighting against slavery. And I find it interesting because Lavigerie, as far as I read a bit quickly through it, he had a good contact with Pius IX and then with Leo XIII. It was Leo XIII who appointed him to combat that evil of slavery.
Lavigerie believed that every human being is created in the image of God and therefore deserves respect and freedom. His actions were grounded in the gospel message of love, liberation, and human dignity, especially for the poor and oppressed.
Lavigerie was a man for passion for humanity.
At a time when many remained silent, he raised his voice in European capitals, denouncing the slave trade and calling public opinion and governments to action. His preaching and tireless advocacy helped shift the conscience of the world and gave Africa a powerful ally in the struggle to end one of the most brutal systems of exploitation.
And we can learn from this fight of Cardinal Lavigerie many lessons that can help us in our church today as we address new forms of slavery. First of all, we must know that slavery did not end it changed its forms. There are now different forms of slavery. We are speaking these days of human trafficking, of forced labor, of child labor, of early marriages, of domestic servitude, of debt bondage. All these are new forms of injustices, new forms of slavery, and the church today is invited to address them.
The dignity of every human person continues to echo throughout our ministries and missions.
The legacy of Cardinal Lavigerie continues to inspire not only the missionaries of Africa and the missionary sisters of Our Lady of Africa, but also lay people who, drawn by the same charism, live it out within their families and daily lives. Today, in various countries, the Lavigerie lay movement works in close collaboration with both missionary institutes.
I belong to Lavigerie Lay Mission Association of Kenya. This group started way back in 2014, and right now we are about 15 people. Over the time we have come to learn the charism of both MAF and Musola, which are the same, and we've looked and we've decided we also would like to share more and more of that charism because it fits into our day-to-day life as Kenyans, as Catholics, and as Christians in Kenya. One of the things that I have worked in is with the refugees for a while. Then I've also done a little bit of interreligious dialogue, and that is more of my interest because I have a lot of family members who crossed over from Christianity to Islam, and sometimes we have to be able to bring in some peace between them.
Cardinal Charles Lavigerie at his time sought the help of lay groups who assisted his missionaries in various ministries in order to reach the people. So if at his time he saw the need and the importance of the lay group, we too feel that need is still relevant even today as we continue his works of evangelization. Among Cardinal's many quotes, there's one that says, "The lasting work will be done by the Africans themselves when they become Christians and apostles." So as the lay, we feel that wearing the local outfits, the Kenyan outfits, we have a role to play in positively impacting in the works of evangelization.
The bicentenary of Cardinal Lavigerie's birth, it is a call to renewal, a time to remember the great impact of Lavigerie's life in the Universal Church.
In Africa, the celebration is a testimony to how the seeds sown by Lavigerie have blossomed into vibrant, self-sustaining local churches. From a mission territory, Africa has become a source of vocations, missionaries, and theological insight, contributing significantly to the life of the Universal Church.
By celebrating the 200 years since the birth of the founder, this will have an impact on the children of Lavigerie today, both the Missionaries of Africa and the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa, and the lay people who are embracing the spirituality of the Missions of Africa, joining the Missions of Africa and the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa in the work of evangelization today. One benefit that I see in celebrating this bicentenary is the renewal of our missionary commitment to go back to the inspiration of our founder, to go back to the spirituality of our founder, so that we can continue the legacy of Cardinal Charles Lavigerie, who dedicated his whole life to the evangelization on the continent of Africa.
His legacy highlights the Church's call to evangelize and promote human dignity, especially in marginalized regions.
May the legacy of Cardinal Lavigerie continue to inspire us all to greater fidelity to Christ and to deeper service to the Church and humanity. May the Lord bless the Missionaries of Africa and the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa abundantly as you carry forward the torch of faith, dialogue, and love for the people of God.
Our prayer is that we may be inspired but by that same missionary zeal that pushed him to fight for Africa